When I was born, I was supposed to have been born on the 7th. Unfortunately, my mother was on drugs. When she went into labor, she didn't know. She sat in water, and she thought the water was on her pants. So I stayed 2 days in her stomach without fluids. So that was the first kickoff. Second, when I came out, I had fluid in my lungs. So I went into surgery. They still didn't know I had sickle cell. Going on 2 years old, 3 years old, pneumonia, pain. I will always say I was in pain. But due to me being raised by my grandmother, they thought I was copying her from her having arthritis. So when the weather used to come, she used to say, "Oh, my legs hurt." And I used to tell, "Me too, Grandma." So no one took me serious. They used to just feed me Excedrin, because that's what she took. So she'll take 2 Excedrin and she'll pass me mine. I think I was 6 years old, and I was at my stepmom's house, and I went into a crisis not knowing. It just felt like someone sat on my back and stabbed me at the same time. I cried for hours. They rushed me to the hospital. They told my mom I had sickle cell trait. So from 6 to 13, I kept being sick. My mom was like, something's wrong. One day a lady walked up when we were on the bus stop and told my mom, something's wrong with your daughter. She was like, yeah, she have sickle cell trait. The lady was like, no, I know people with sickle cell. Your daughter is in a full crisis. She took me to Jackson Memorial Hospital. They used to do the testing at. They retested me and they found out I had SC. So that was like, from 6 to 13 was just pain. Like no one can understand it, you couldn't hear it, you can't see it. And for it to be a child, people tend to tell kids they're making up stories because they can't see what's wrong. So when I turned 13, it got kind of rough, but not to a point where I could not take care of myself, because at that point I was on my own with 3 kids. So I just kept going, and I made it pretty much in and out the hospital most of the time in the summer because of the heat. With sickle cell, we are under distress all the time. It can be heat, it could be cold, it could be emotions. If I get overexcited, I can go into a crisis. If I'm sad, I can go into a crisis. Eating the wrong things can make me go into a crisis. I have learned that red meat, especially McDonald's, if I'm in a crisis and I eat it, it's worse for me. So it's more or less of listening to your body, not just your mind, because your mind is going to tell you one thing, but your body will actually let you know something else is not right. Like it makes you feel unnormal. Fortunately, I was blessed. I met a friend guy, and he became a really good friend of mine. His mom had sickle cell, and she was a patient of Dr. Blyden's. So when I was younger, I got a chance to be around Dr. Blyden, got to see what he did from her. And she always said when it was time for me to cross over, because even though we leave at 18 to go to the adult side, we're not ready. We're used to someone helping us, holding our hands. And it's like you're a bird in a tree and your mom just kick you out and say, fly. We're stuck on pain medications from the time we're born, but no one stops to give us mental evaluations before you give me narcotics. How do you know that narcotics is what I need? But when we get angry, we get frustrated, we are afraid to even say things because I don't want you to feel like I'm not in support or agreement with you're saying as the doctor, because eventually you're going to take my medicine, you're going to write things in my file, you're going to look at me like I'm not human. So I have to endure the pain of whatever you tell me or whatever you want to do to me in order for me to get sleep tonight. So a lot of times we are yes people to the doctors and some of the nurses. We're not who we want to be. We're not allowed to say, I'm a little black girl who has a disease, but that is not all. I'm more than that. You only see me on my bad days. And if you only see a person on their bad days, you're only gonna see the worst in me. You can't see me on my good days where I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm a sister. I am everybody's everything. But the moment I come here, you take me from being important to being a burden. We go to the emergency room, and imagine you go to the emergency room. Today is Thursday. You go because your shoulders are hurting and your hips. You have a vascular necrosis. Now, we're going to say next week, Thursday, you may have to go back because your feet hurt. Oh, you're back again? You're still in pain? It's like I was in pain last week for my shoulders. Today is my feet. But because it's pain, I don't supposed to come back. You know, we have to think about things that you wouldn't do. When you go into the emergency room, do you think about what you have on? How you're gonna get dressed? We do. Because if I come underdressed, I'm looked at as a addict. If I come in my pajamas, my slides, my hair wrapped up, comfortable like I am today when I went to treatment, it's like, oh, there go this little ghetto girl looking for more pain meds. But if I come with my nice designer bag, I come with someone with the work tag like they have an important job, it's, oh, come on in, sweetheart. So I even have to fake how I look and how I feel just to make sure I'm treated like a human. I can be me. I am a lot some days. Talking to you, I have a toothache for the last 4 days. You wouldn't know that. I've been getting treatment for the last 2 weeks. I am able to go somewhere, sit down, and not have to be worried about if I'm doing the wrong thing. Do I look jittery? Do I look like I'm high? Are they looking at me? Because if you look anything other than what they expect, you are in trouble. I can actually go to Dr. Blighty, and I don't have to convince someone that's hired to protect me from an illness that he studied for that I'm sick. It's like he's your father. We call him Papa Smurf. And we're like his little Smurfs because he knows from looking at you, this is not right. Something is wrong. And I'm able to text Dr. Bronte 12 o'clock at night and say, Dr. Bronte, something is wrong. I need someone. And either she's going to get Dr. Blyden, her daughter, someone is going to find me help. You tell me where you can text your doctor 12 o'clock at night, them personally, and tell them, my heart is beating fast, I don't know what's wrong. And they walk you through or help you through it. And all you're gonna feel is a brush on your feet at 2 o'clock in the morning saying, I'm here. You don't have to second guess if he's coming or not. And they know he's coming. So that's why they blackball him a lot of times, because he's a hematologist that's sticking up for his own people. And because he believes in doing things a different way than what the textbook shows, because the textbook was written, the 60s, 70s on our disease. Our disease have grown and did so many things has developed since then. So he goes based upon how we develop. We are different people. We may have the same, me and Josiah has the same SC, but we hurt on 2 different levels. You can look at me right now and tell me I'm okay because I'm used to wearing this face to make you feel okay. The only reason I have to keep smiling and pretending like my life is perfect so that the people around me can understand and be okay. A lot of times we're hurting more than what we will say because we don't want to let our doctors down, our friends down. We don't want to feel like we're a burden. People come see you in the hospital when you are taught. But once you get to a certain age, it's like, oh, they're sick again, they'll be okay. But a family member could break their leg and they'll be at the hospital, everyone, for weeks with them. But I'm on life support and you don't have no one show up. Imagine being the only one sick in your family and you can't explain to them. All they keep telling you is you're taking another pain med. You just took a pill 4 hours ago. You in pain again? You at the treatment center again? It's like you don't understand. To get out the bed is a struggle some days for me. And I have kids. We don't know what type of kids we're gonna have, unfortunately, but fortunately, I thank God I have a child with special needs. So I can't always show my weakness because she panics. We need people like the Sickle Cell Clinic My kids depend on the sickle cell clinic because they know I can go in the morning and I'm back home at night. I started going to the treatment center 1 to 2 times, sometimes 3 times a week. And I've been almost 3 years without being in the hospital because I gave up on the ER and just said, when I have my pain, I'll go. And Dr. Bronte and Dr. Blyden, you could call them 3 or 4 times a week. They're gonna just say the same thing. You're on the list for tomorrow, bring your stuff. I don't have to convince her that I'm not good. Yes, I do have that. What keeps me going is I have 2 beautiful children. I was able to find love and get married. He has 3 beautiful children that became mine. I love baking and cooking. And I want my own shelter. My shelter is what's keeping me fighting sickle cell. I want a shelter for victims of sex trafficking. I want to be able to allow them to come live in my shelter and we give them hands-on care because I know what it is to be rejected just from sickle cell. I know how they could feel as women to be rejected once they went through what they went through in life. Not because they wanted to. A lot of them were kidnapped. And now they don't have no way to coming back to society to say, okay, I'm better now, without a label being on their back. They're called, slur names, just everything. It's like that with sickle cell. Once I come out the hospital, I'm back. But life went on. Your job went on. You can't keep a job. So you have to find things around you that are not just materialistic. And if you find faith with it, it's a blessing. Because with your faith and with your goals together, it can show you a different side of sickle cell. I was blessed to meet people that normally I wouldn't meet. Some people that I wouldn't even stop and talk to every day. And I have been blessed to take this journey with them at the treatment. I'm not alone when I'm there. I'm among people who are just like me. So some people may say, oh, you guys taking the medicine, but you all so hype and you all look so fine. Imagine being the only black person in the world and you meet another black man. You may be sad, but that excitement at that moment where you feel I belong somewhere, that is something people fight their whole life trying to get to belong somewhere. So the joy come out of it for me is being a mother and a woman all together and being able to share my stories with people.